Hi there. I want to show you how to use the jump ringer. We've already done a video of using dowel rods and a jeweler's saw, and honestly that's my preferred way. It's low tech and it works great, but if you're going to be making a ton of links, this is also a really nice tool to have. So to get started, I still need I need to follow my directions, and so I'm still working on this basic double loop and loop, and I'm going to go ahead and do 22 gauge fine silver in the demo so that I can also show you how to fuse fine silver. And I need a 5/16 dowel. So this tool is going to be in metrics, and so again I can use calipers or I can check with my ruler, and I can see that the 8,0 is going to be my 5/16. So I've already pulled that out. Yep. And I think I also am going to have the hole over here. Now we're set, so hole's closest to the chuck. And I've unwrapped my fine silver. So this part of it's pretty sweet. So you can see we did the same thing that we did with the dowel rods. We kept the lengths really close to one another. And then I'm taking my side cutters and I'm cutting off the excess. Now it's important with fine silver that you save every single little piece of fine silver, because you can melt that back down and alloy it or use it as fine silver again. So I have this little container and I just pop in any scrap that I have. So I'll leave that out on my desk so that I for sure have it. I used my side cutters to just cut off that little piece. So now I just take it off. So that's great. So that's basically how this whole tool works. And then the problem with this tool is it consists of a million tiny parts. So you need to make sure that all those tiny parts end up back. Okay, so now cutting. There is a blade provided with the tool, and then generally you end up having to buy extra blades, which we have. And then there's also some burr life in here. The main thing that I would suggest for this is that there are incredible instructions that are exactly step by step of what we're doing, and so you can see exactly that step that we just did. Again, I would use more material so that you end up with a really long piece, and then you've got the instructions for the blade part. So I would always keep those handy and look through them again, because this is a tricky tool. Now this one is also really dangerous, so make sure that you have your safety glasses on, and sometimes I'll even wear a shield just to make sure that I don't accidentally miss something. Okay, so the blade is here. Just double checking, making sure my blade looks good, and it does. Sometimes somebody else could have used it and it might have some like nicks and stuff in it, so you do really want to make sure that we've got it right. As far as like the direction that the blade goes, I usually have to double check the directions. I have to put it in and make sure. Should be letters down, I think. Now, I never can completely remember which steps to put this into the tool either, so you can use an actual screwdriver. I'm using my ruler. Okay, so that's in there. This comes in here. There's like a chicken or egg situation that happens here that I can never quite decide how I want to put this in. This is why I'm doing it in front of the camera instead of editing, because you'll never remember. So I am going to double check on my blade before I hit anything. Oh, and sure enough, I got it upside down. It's a good idea to cut the electricity or turn your flex shaft off, just in case if you have a trigger happy foot. So I just made sure. I could switch this to reverse, but I'd much rather do it in the right direction. So it looks like on this blade the letters go up, and there's a little keyhole there where it sits into, and then that sits down. Let's try that again. This is a little clunky. So again, if you imagine, you would want to set this up if you have a lot to do. I'm back with 2 screwdrivers. And so you see that I'm lining it up with the tool to make sure that the blade is in the proper location, then I'm tightening it up. Okay. So this is now in there, and those screws have now tightened it to my flex shaft. And then this guy, I've taken the screws off, so it's almost ready to go. And again, the longer the coil, the better. I'll start with this copper one that I made previously. It's gonna have a tendency to crush whenever it's on this small of a size. So again, you'd be much better served to just do a really long piece, especially if you went to the time of setting this in your flex shaft and everything like that. Usually you'd have probably 5 or 6 of these already made sitting there, and then you just cut them all. So I'm tightening that down evenly in a way that hopefully I don't crush my links. Okay. Let's try it. Okay, and I have this little spot on my bench that stops this from moving. If you don't have that, I would clamp a small piece of wood to your bench so that you have something to push against. You definitely don't want your other hand to be that part that is preventing that from moving. So I would just clamp a little piece of wood right here and pull towards it. And you saw I put my safety glasses on. Again, sometimes I even put a shield on, especially if I'm doing a big old amount. And then there's all my links. They're all cut. So it's beautiful. Let's try the fine silver one. Just clean that out. One more time. Burr Life. Put it up against the wall. This comes on top. So you can see that once it's all set up, it's actually super fast and convenient, and those joints are going to be awesome for making links and for the fine silver for fusing so that there's no space. So I'm just going until there's pressure, but I don't want to see that set of coils fall down on its edge. So that's great. It's the same, safety glasses on, foot pedals on the ground there, and then you can see I'm kind of standing to the side. Okay, and you can see that released just a little bit whenever those links fell. Okay, so that is it. I'm going to dump these out so that I have those for the next step. Anything that I know is not a full circle or that was crushed funny, I just immediately put that in the scrap pile so that I'm not confused later. To replace this, I'm going to put my screws on. I do go ahead and turn that off while I'm using this, just in case if I accidentally got a little bit trigger happy. I use my screwdriver. Unscrew just a bit. Definitely don't go all the way because you don't want to lose the screws. Undo the blade. Obviously it's extremely sharp, so be very careful. Screwdriver again. You could do this actually while it's in the flex shaft so that you have some torque. And you can use your check key to hold it. This is what we have to do every time to put it back, so I am showing the whole thing. Blade comes off, this goes back on. There are just so many small parts. So because of that, this is stored in my office, or I often leave it stored with one of the graduate students in the back studio. And again, to protect my blade, remember I've got these letters on here, Made in USA. That's going to end up going up. I'll remember that for the next time. Maybe. I probably won't remember it. I never remember it. So then I grab my whole thing again. This little guy goes in here. This goes in here. This goes in here. Directions are super important. Keep them in here all the time. And burr life. Lid goes back on. This goes back in here. Blade goes back in here. It is ready for the next person. I always still double check, make sure that all of my mandrels are in here and that I didn't accidentally leave anything out. It is ready to turn back in. The original design of this is that a blade sticks out like this, but that's not ideal for kind of the group studio space. But when you have it at your house, you can leave that blade sitting in. Okay, we did it. We have little bitty links, and again, you would make those coils really long so that then you can have a ton of links. Okay, that's it. Have fun.